Hey guys, welcome in. James Phillips and Brian Hale here. This is our wrap-up show for the week for the DME PrepZone. Southern Orthopedic presents the DME PrepZone wrap-up show. Brian, I am at DMEPrepZone.com, as always. And if you haven't gone there on Friday nights, I don't know what you're waiting for. We're in week, 8 now at this point? Every score up to date throughout the entire night, DMEPrepZone.com. All right, Brian, first game tonight. Let's talk about Cold Springs at Winston County. Cold Springs comes out a 20-14 win. That's probably about what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that it was not going to be a blowout by either team, but we all pretty much know is pretty much everybody in the area knows all you have to do is stop Owens. If you do that, you should win the game because there's no vertical passing for Winston County.
Right.
So I think it was par for the course.
All right. Oakman, 40-13 over Lamar County. This game was 14-13 at halftime. And Oakman comes out, and really Christian Hubbard had a big game, had several touchdowns in the game, and the Wildcats pick up a win, a region win that they needed.
Yeah, and that was really key right now because, I mean, the top of the region is pretty much set.
Right.
And it looks like right now, unless there's some kind of real fall off, Winfield's probably going to be the number 3 team. So right now, with the way that everything's figuring, Oakman really needed that, and they got a really good win of big adjustments, obviously, in the second half.
Definitely. All right, a blowout. Pickens County 44, Meek 13. This was 44-0 at halftime.
This is quite possibly the most unsurprising game that we had tonight. I completely expected that. So.
Well, you expected that blowout, but none of us expected this win. The Lynn Bears, 31-20 over Hubbardsville. Big win for Lynn.
Yeah, and they actually were able to seal it off because at one time it was 25-20 Lynn, and they had a big lead at one time. Lynn comes, not only keeps off the Hubbardsville bounce back, but also seals it with a couple of touchdowns. So this is huge for Lynn. I mean, Hubbardsville's quality team this year.
Right. Dora and West Point in a game that went back and forth throughout the entire night. Dora would go up, West Point would go up. They were tied. West Point wins at 28-21, and the Bulldogs, that pretty well seals their fate. They will not be making the playoffs.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I actually heard Coach Lockhart talking to Brett Elmore as I was driving back from Curry, but Dora didn't lose 5 players last week. They lost 6.
Oh, wow.
So, and you actually have to be proud of the effort that Dora put up. I thought it was going to be kind of a blowout by West Point.
Yeah.
But this ended up being, for the longest time, it was 21-21. So Dora's obviously still fighting hard. It's just at this point, there's a complete, I mean, the roster's pretty much almost completely redone.
Yeah, they're undermanned now for sure. I mean, they came into the season, with a smaller roster and a little undermanned, but then after you lose a few people and they've lost some games big, but it's good to see them continue to play hard and continue to fight, though.
Absolutely.
Another Class 5A Region 7 game, Hayden at Corner. Corner picks up a 19-17 win, won it late in the game, and that game was another one just back and forth all night, and we knew that rivalry would be a good football game.
Yeah, of course, and we saw last week the adjustments that Coach Clements has made to that team. And I thought to myself, it's going to be a well-contested, well-fought game. But something just told me that Corner had really gotten themselves back into a good mode of things. And obviously for them to pull it out in a rivalry game like that, to keep the playoff hopes alive, good job by the Corner Yellow Jackets.
Right, and probably sets up a showdown with Lawrence County as maybe that 4th seed out of that one. It'll be West Point, Lawrence County, and Corner probably as the 4th seed out of that region, fighting it out to see who can jump in there along with Jasper, Russellville, and Hamilton.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
How about Carbon Hill at Winfield? Winfield wins 33-12. Carbon Hill hung in there for a while, but just too much of the Pirates.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as much as we were really hoping that this would go for Carbon Hill's favor so they can maybe make that big playoff run, Winfield, even though this is not the typical Winfield that we're used to, is still, they're an experienced team.
Right.
So, hey, I talked to Coach Scott Kerr today, former Carbon Hill coach. he's keeping up with them. Loves the fact that the young guys are stepping up. You know, Carbon Hill's still got opportunities. They're going to win some more ball games this year because they end the year off with Holt and, you know, a team that's struggling in Curry.
Right, that's right. Hey, how about Addison? They just continue to win football games, 44-25 over Tanner, and they were up big. Tanner scored 19 of their 25 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and honestly, this week in the game, which will be out next week, I expect to just be blowouts as Addison has fully hit their stride.
Right. Next week, our game of the week for PrepZone will be Jasper traveling to Russellville. But for our audio game of the week, you and Chuck Dunn will be doing the Addison ball game.
Mm-hmm. And I fully expect, I don't know what Thorpetown did tonight, but thus far, they'd only had one win on the season.
Oh, yeah. I think Addison takes Thorpetown to Thumptown.
Yeah, absolutely.
They could make a T-shirt probably of that.
They should.
Yeah.
And you should get some royalties for that.
At least $1 or $2.
Yeah.
How about we go to Jasper, where I was at. Jasper wins 42-20. Really an ugly game, though. It's probably the worst game I've seen Jasper play, at least this one and corner. But, you know, the number one team in the state, they have the number one scoring offense, scoring defense, but come in a little flat tonight. And Lawrence County was not they weren't worried about Jasper being number one. They took it seriously, and they played them. It was 14-14 at halftime. Mm-hmm. Now, in the game, though, Jasper did not give up an offensive touchdown. All three scores from Lawrence County came on, it was a fake punt for a score, and then there was a kickoff return for a score, and then a 94-yard pick six for a score. And so that's how the Red Devils scored. Jasper, their running back duo, took over the game. Caden Shelton with over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. J.C. Collins with 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And so they really flexed their muscle, especially in the second half, and took over the game. Jasper wins it.
Well, Coach Moore's been looking for his teachable moments and teachable situations from games. He hadn't got it thus far, even though, you know, the corner win, he had said, but this is definitely going to be it going forward.
He did get that tonight. That was the first thing I mentioned to him on the sideline was, Coach, you were looking for some teachable moments, and he got those tonight for sure. So this week at practice may not be a lot of fun.
No, I would seriously doubt it.
All right, Brian, last game of the week was you were at Curry for Cordova and Curry. The Blue Devils, they have, we've said it a few times that they've turned a corner, and I think they really have turned a corner. They pick up the win tonight, 46-20. Could have been much worse than that. What was your take on that game?
Dominance by an offensive line and a running back. Listen to this. This is what a good offensive line can do for you. Justin Wallace, 223 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Wow, yeah.
Incredible. Casey Smith had a good night, too. He was 6 of 9 passing. He also ran the ball pretty well, got a rushing touchdown as well. But, you know, this is a Curry team that is having some problems on defense. They got their offense moving. But Cordova has been through so many battles against good teams this year that they're getting to a team that, you know, is rebuilding in Curry. And it's almost kind of like, wow, you know, this is not a complete and total battle. So I know that Coach Jones had quite a few sticking points that he talked about because they're still wanting to see progress. But, you know, Curry just from the onset, I think in the first half, they scored on every single drive.
Right, yeah.
So it's an amazing rebounding job by Cordova, and they are still very much in control of their own destiny. Oak Grove, whose only win on the season was Curry, is next. Then you follow it up by Haleyville, which has struggled in a lot of their games too.
Right.
Cordova, in the next 2 weeks, they win out. They will find themselves in the playoffs.
Right, went out that, and then they finished the season with West Point. I think the Blue Devils finish on a 5-game win streak.
And that would be, I would hate to, even though they're coming to you as the 4th place team, I would hate that as a 1st place team. A team that rolls off 5 wins like that to end the season, that's very dangerous.
Right, and Jeffrey Winborn was on the sideline getting our footage for tonight, and he was able to catch up with Coach Jones at the end of the game. So let's see what Coach Jones had to say.
You jumped out to that big lead at halftime, but in the third quarter, Curry got that one long drive, had the fumble that turned into points. What happened in the third quarter that you were able to give up those touchdowns?
Well, I just think, sometimes you talk about getting complacent, and I think for us, just still learning how to win games and how to finish games are things that we got to work on. I'm proud of our kids. Coaches did a great job preparing them. We did jump out pretty good, but we've got to fine-tune some things and just execute all the time, not just when it's close or when it's the beginning of the game, but you got to execute all the time. So I think we had some execution issues and just sometimes that momentum, you got to either bring it or you got to stop it at some point. And so that third quarter kind of swung their way. We were able to swing it back a little bit ours.
Now offensively, that's the most points. That's a season best as far as points scored. How do you feel about your offense at this point of the season?
Well, we had a few called back, so could have been a little bit better. But still, it's about execution. It's about we're finally learning some things, and being able to execute the offense helps tremendously. Again, the offensive staff, defense, they did a great job preparing our kids, and that's really what, when you prepare properly, it prevents poor performance, right? Isn't that the 5 Ps?
Yeah.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. There you go.
You're heading into the back end of the season now. You're starting to build some momentum. Me and Brian Hale were kind of talking before the game that, everything's still in front of you guys.
That's right.
What do you tell your team going forward to try to keep this momentum going?
Well, I think for us, we control our own destiny. So anytime you do that, that's good, because a lot of times you don't get that reality. You know what I mean? So for us, we just want to keep getting better every week. And if we'll continue to do that, then we'll see what the future holds.
All right, congratulations, Coach.
Well, you heard it from Coach Jones. Cordova, they're sitting in a good spot right now, but they've got to continue to improve.
Yeah, progress every single week is what he's looking for, as they are in control of their own destiny. He recognizes it. Everybody recognizes it. But I tell you, I just love to see what I'm seeing from the Blue Devils week in and week out. If they finish out 5-game winning streak, I'm telling you, in a playoff, I'd be kind of like, no, I don't want to see Cordova.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they'll go to a good team, but still, once the team starts believing in themselves, and if you can pull off that 5 straight, that's a good, and it's just a good sign for the future of the Blue Devils as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Brian, anything else you want to talk about tonight? We got any? We talked about college football in our preview this week. And I don't think there's anything that's really just standing out for us, except for you want to see the Gators lose to LSU.
Of course. And hopefully that'll happen big time. But I think more or less we do know that we'll be going to Addison.
That's right.
Obviously next week. I think tentatively right now we'd say probably about a 95% chance that in 2 weeks we'll see, hopefully, Cordova clinch up the playoff spot.
Right.
We're looking right now at going for Cordova-Haleyville, which will be huge.
Yeah.
And, of course, we already know we're going to finish off the year with Carbon Hill and Curry at Carbon Hill. So our schedule is actually kind of set up after a couple of weeks, not exactly knowing. We kind of know exactly where we're going. But this week, I think in our preview show, along with previewing number 1, they were number
3. That's one thing we didn't
mention. Let's talk about that.
Russellville loses 17-0 at Hamilton.
What did you just say? Where?
At Hamilton.
Where?
At Hamilton. And, I'm sure there was some home cooking involved, but still,
you think?
To hold Russellville to a shutout, that's a big win for Hamilton. And what that does now is it's a 3-team race in Region 7. Jasper will need to beat Russellville next week on the road and then take care of Hamilton at home the following week.
I smell something.
Well, I know. I understand.
Let's just think about this for a minute. What happened at Hayden last week?
Right. Hamilton falls to Hayden.
Oh, not just falls to Hayden. 28-7 falls.
Right, yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, the 3rd team in the state comes in, and they get shut out with the chance that Hamilton's looking on the schedule and going, oh, wait a minute. This is our last home game. We've got to make sure. I smell something, JP.
Well, maybe so, But, Hamilton, Russellville might have been a little smoke and mirrors with the Golden Tigers as well, because they really hadn't played anybody and had some close games. They even had a close game last week with Lawrence County. I think it was 22-17, 22-14, something like that. I think Jasper is head and shoulders above the rest of the competition in this region, but they've got to show up more than they showed up tonight.
Well, I mean, look, I could agree with you on Russellville, but the simple fact of the matter is when Hamilton leaves their stadium,
Right, it's just a different team.
and then they get blown out 28-7 by a Hayden team that, for all intents and purposes, I think just got eliminated from the playoffs tonight.
Right.
Okay? I'm sorry. It really, really, really stinks right now. In 2 weeks, when Hamilton goes across the street to Kiro, I see 55-0.
Yeah, it may get ugly. Well, I mean, I can only hope so. I'm wearing the Jasper Vikings swag tonight.
I mean, let me ask you the question, level it up. If Hamilton and Hayden would have decided, okay, we're going to play this on a neutral field. Let's play it at Cold Springs. It's kind of in between the two places. Do you think the outcome would have been any different?
No.
Yeah.
You know.
I smell something, and it's emanating from Hamilton.
I understand. Well, anything else?
Nope. Looking forward to a good game, a good day of football tomorrow.
Yeah.
I see Bama winning, probably scoring 58. The only thing is how many does Texas A&M score?
When you mentioned Coach Scott Curd, who was formerly at Carbon Hill, he's now on the UAB coaching staff, which is something a lot of our folks may not know.
Yeah.
And you interviewed him, and it'll be an upcoming feature in our next Walker magazine that comes out in the next week or so. Scott Curd talking about what he's doing at UAB now.
Yeah, he's formed up some great relationships there among the coaching staff. He said he kind of feels like at times a little bit of a fish out of the water because many of the analysts and grad assistants, they're all extremely younger people.
Yeah, they're a lot of younger guys.
And there's Coach Curd with 25 years of coaching experience, but he's really enjoying it. And
I think he's kind of living a dream at this point of wanting to be in the college game, that sort of thing. So I got a chance to talk to him a couple days ago when we were setting up the interview and everything, and he's still keeping up with Walker County football.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we may even have him come on either if it's not this season. We may get him as a special guest. He said he could be our Kirk Herbstreit or something. Now I don't know if Coach Curd has the looks of Kirk Herbstreit.
Well, I hope he doesn't get expected to get paid like Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think we're gonna. We may pay him with like a bologna sandwich.
Which
is more than either of us get.
Yeah, because we make what 0.1% of what Kirk Herbstreit pays. But hey, I would love to have Coach Curd on. And an analysis of the teams in the area obviously would be phenomenal. And Coach Curd obviously brings so much of a dynamic, and he could do some excellent things about talking about some of the Conference USA and Sun Belt teams around.
Well, and we did mention that the Jasper game will be our game of the week this week. Even though Russell's not undefeated, it won't be a number 1 and number 3 matchup. Yeah. Still the most talked about matchup in our area, and so we will be talking to Coach Moore and several of his players for our preview show this week. And as always, check out the Coach Moore show that comes out each week with me and Coach Moore having a conversation about the game that just passed and the game that's coming up and whatever else is going on in Viking football land. Brian, I think we can call it a night. It's about time. It's definitely past my bedtime at this point.
Okay, man.
Everybody watching this on Saturday morning, they don't realize we're doing this after covering football games and writing stories. So
you're lucky if you can go to bed that early.
We're already into Saturday morning right now.
And we'll be doing a little bit of preview, extra playoff stuff. We'll have a little grid up.
We'll talk some high school bracketology this week, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have that laid out for you.
All right, well, for Brian Hale, James Phillips here. We'll see you this next week.